Introducing Snark AI, the newest AI assistant designed explicitly for consumers aged 45 to 60. Snark can answer the most basic questions at lightning speed.
What's the world's largest land mammal?
Your mom.
Snark can help you plan your day.
What is the weather going to be like today?
I don't see any hooks in your ass. Get up and look out the damn window.
Snark gives great fashion advice.
Does this outfit make me look fat?
No, but your ass sure does.
Snark can guide you to the best local restaurants.
Where's the closest Chipotle?
Wouldn't you rather have diarrhea at home?
Snark helps you find that perfect gift.
What should I get my daughter for her 16th birthday?
Her tubes tied.
Snark helps you find lost items.
Locate my keys.
If they were up your ass kicking field goals, you'd know.
Snark gets you moving.
Where's a good place to go for an outdoor adventure?
Take a long walk off a short pier.
Snark helps you avoid buyer's remorse.
Why doesn't this shade of lipstick work with my skin tone?
Because you're ugly and your mama dresses you funny.
Snark helps you discover fun new pastimes.
What's a good activity for me and my vegan friends?
Go play in traffic.
Snark, Gen X-driven AI from April Technologies. Simple questions, snarky responses.
Recorded in front of a lively studio audience in rowdy Round Rock, Texas, it's the What's Update with Xander IMDb.
Season 6.
Cognitive dissonance and
socioeconomic disparity. Welcome to the What's Update. I'm Xander IMDb. This is our final episode of the season, so let's get started.
Vacation!
Hell yeah. Of course, it's not very different from our regular schedule of, a month or two in between episodes, but, Only 2 weeks after CBS's parent company, Paramount, settled a $16 million defamation lawsuit filed by the cheater-in-chief, and after over 30 years of being a pillar of late-night comedy and news, CBS is terminating The Late Show in May of 2026.
Boo.
Host Stephen Colbert has never shied away from criticism of the Tangerine Tyrant, and is apparently the latest victim of Trump's Ministry of Misinformation. In an official statement, CBS honchos said that, quote, "This is purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It's not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right, man.
Because I know that the last time I ran a multinational media conglomerate and was trying to get approval for a multi-billion-dollar merger from the most violent petty administration on the planet, the first thing I do is fire the one satirist on my network who talks shit about him nightly for financial reasons.
It's totally financial reasons, obviously.
Get real.
They just
Indeed. The snake's got a point. We're all doomed.
Oh, no.
Moving on from injustice to some Texas-sized bullshittery, Governor Greggy Mandering Abbott announced the agenda for the first of what will likely be many special legislative sessions, starting with a plan to redraw congressional maps in the state. Old Greg over there is rolling in lockstep with orders from Trump to carve out new Republican seats and shore up the GOP's slim majority in Congress. Governor Abbott's truly the envy of all the other Republicans, since he doesn't even have to bend over to kiss Trump's pale, flabby ass.
Yes, it's right there in his face.
Face level. Well, if he is actually 6'4", like he says, I don't think his ass is that high, I'm just saying.
Now, speaking of pale asses... Really, that's the one? That's the one.
No.
Anyway, Leapin' Leon Musk got a whole lot of bang for his buck during the 189th Texas legislative session. In addition to successful lobbying efforts that have benefited the many companies he has already relocated to the Austin area, Apartheid Edison persuaded old Rolling Blunder to establish a Texas-style Doge department of his own.
Yeah, that's just what we need.
KUT and the Texas newsroom both requested access to the hundreds of emails exchanged between Abbott and Musk since last fall. Governor Shitheel responded with a big honkin' nope, because, quote, "they consist of information that is intimate and embarrassing, and not of legitimate concern to the public. My dearest Elon, how I miss your strong embrace by the light of the fiery wreckage of your SpaceX explosions over the starry Texas skies. It breaks my heart.
Roll over here and snorkel my front tail, Greggy my mammal.
As always, my boudoir remains your ketamine Coachella. And scene.
And scene.
Scene.
Acting. Acting!
Acting!
There's your front row ticket price right there.
All right.
On X, Musk's social media pit of toxic masculinity and right-wing bile, the Ketamine Kid announced that Grok AI will soon be forced onto all Tesla vehicles. The AI chatbot has only successfully produced anti-Semitic and pro-Hitler content so far. So no matter where you tell Grok you want to go, your Tesla will only head right. Now, remember the wisdom of the Booble, kids. 3 wrongs make a right.
Oh.
Yeah. And back in my day, this was just a game we played as an excuse to punch people or risk getting punched ourselves. It wasn't any of this white power bullshit.
Well, I mean, if you see now, it's still a really good reason to punch somebody. I mean,
Touche.
Yeah, touche, I'm right in the nose.
Now, while we're on the subject of white supremacists, they're so awful, right?
Yeah, it's just it's so upsetting you can't even say it.
Let's
try it again, yeah.
While we're on the subject of white supremacists who really need a solid punch in the dick, after Trump dismissed the DOJ's Epstein files as, quote, hoax, maggots are burning their stupid red hats.
Good.
Even his former vice president, Mike, Mommy Says Breakfast for Dinner is a Sin, Pence, is calling for the files' release. Now, who would have thought that the straw that broke the camel's back would be decades of billionaires sexually assaulting children on a secret slave island? I'm really, really glad you finally found your bridge too far there, Red Caps. Let's see. Insurrection against the United States of America? Nope. Election tampering through disenfranchisement and data manipulation? Nah. Creating a modern Gestapo to violently deport brown people with no criminal records, some of whom are citizens, to parts unknown? Oh, whatevs. It's no big deal. Oh, but prisoning and repeatedly sexually assaulting 11-year-olds is finally the last straw. I mean, remember, kids, for Republicans, that privilege is reserved for uncles, clergy, and family friends.
Oh. Especially
What?
Clergy.
I'm not lying.
No, I mean, you're absolutely correct, but... I mean,
Now, do y'all remember when Trump...
path on that pastor.
Shut the hell up, Craig. Back on topic. Do you remember when Trump assured the American people that he would only hire the best and brightest?
Nope.
Yeah, I can understand why, since he never once did, ever. But, in a show of solidarity, I guess, he wants a fellow third-tier reality star to head up America's space program.
What? That's stupid.
Sean Duffy, a former cast member of MTV's Real World and Road Rules, best known for performing a hotel room striptease, is currently serving as Trump's Secretary of Transportation and is now also the interim head of NASA. I mean, I guess the American dream is real after all. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll be among the stars. Freezing and suffocating.
We have freezing and suffocating at home, mammal.
Yep.
I don't know if HEB has that now, but they could probably get it later.
Yeah.
It'll be better than the other
It'd be
stuff.
Hill Country Fair.
On a more interesting note,
ETN.
recently, archaeologists uncovered 5,500-year-old tombs that are now being called the Polish Pyramids.
Yay, Polish pyramids!
In a routine field survey, researchers from Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan discovered megalithic tombs in this park in this town. Look, guys, we try our best to find the right way to say this stuff, but we ran this through Google Translate and the how to pronounce sites and got jack shit. I mean, no wonder it took them 5,500 years to rediscover them. The directions were in fucking Polish. I mean, it's the same reason they can't get me on any watch lists. Polish last name.
Oh, yeah. What? Your middle school principal had you for 4 years or something and never
learned
pronounced
how to
it
pronounce.
once. Not even
Not
one time.
one time.
Not one
Even when
time.
people were shouting it from the crowd. And finally, the leader of the New England Society for Psychic Research, 54-year-old Dan Rivera, joined the Choir Eternal while schlepping, among other spooky items, the infamous Annabelle doll. Now, in case you're... I see you back there. In case the rest of you are familiar with the actual story, Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll that was originally donated to paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren in the 1970s for display in their now-closed occult museum in Connecticut. Its original owner claimed that the doll could move by itself and exhibited malicious and frightening behavior.
That's a bad doll.
Craig, are you a Raggedy Ann doll?
No, I'm a snake.
Like a Raggedy
If you
Ass
have the
doll.
choice.
Raggedy ass. Okay.
Now, back to the story. The Warrens said that a psychic medium told the owner her doll had been taken over by the spirit of a dead 6-year-old girl named Annabelle. Supposedly, the doll inflicted psychic slashes that drew blood from victims, caused a priest who insulted the doll to run his car into a tree, and stabbed a homicide detective, forcing him into early retirement. So, naturally, Rivera thought the best course of action was to take it out of its case, which was sealed with holy sigils, by the way, and fuck around with it for paying customers. Now, I'm not superstitious. Well, I'm somewhat stitious, but not superstitious. But I think that maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't play with the notorious demonically possessed doll in front of crowds for cash. And apparently Danny Boy here never watched the Conjuring films, Child's Play, The Twilight Zone, or Playthings from Supernatural Season 2. I mean, see, cultural literacy is important. It could even save your life.
Yeah, man.
Stick around, we'll be right back.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody. Now, on the topic of ignoring prior documentation of clear and present dangers, whether that is a demonically possessed doll or an AI powered by Nazi propaganda, I'm reminded of an old saying my parents made sure I understood early on. Education is never wasted. Now, around these parts, we strive to provide an entertaining and informative examination of current events, whether they are uplifting, disappointing, or interesting to a positive or negative degree. Whether it's the end of the world or the end of the summer, we're dedicated to keeping y'all updated and informed in a way that not only makes sense, but takes the wind out of the rat prick bastard sails and sends a little bit of breeze y'all's way.
So hot.
We need it. Education is never wasted, but the snake certainly is.
Speak of my drinking, mammal, but never of my thirst. Suspicious, I think.
You've drunk the equivalent of Lake Travis right now in tequila.
He's drunk the entirety of the fucking Pacific Ocean's worth of tequila over the fucking summer.
He does drink a lot.
Yeah.
Craig, you need help, buddy.
Well, there was a cactus problem. I was doing my part for the ecology.
Sure.
I'm sure there's an Avatar reference in there.
And the economy. And my liver.
So, with all that in mind, I gotta ask. Have you ever listened to someone and immediately known the style of propaganda in their YouTube feed? Like,
Nope.
Have you ever found yourself waxing philosophical about the brilliance of Rush in front of someone and they thought Limbaugh?
Ugh, that happened this week.
Like, have you ever stood in front of a person and genuinely wondered, who ties your shoes for you? The more you look around, the more you get the feeling that education is not only being wasted, but entirely erased. So, here's the thing. As we slide further and further into the Aldous Huxley dystopia we currently call the United States, the process and importance of education and critical thinking are being systemically dismantled. This has been going on for some time now, from the removal of critical thinking skills from primary school curricula in favor of rote memorization, to recent Supreme Court rulings that serve to defund and dismantle the entire system, to the rampant socioeconomic disparity in access and quality throughout. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's start with the basic idea of the US education system. Aside from gaining various slips of paper that supposedly get you a better job, and other fun jokes you can tell yourself, the point of the school system is to teach the younglings how to think. Sure, you can learn a lot about math, science, history, and about a third of your chosen language elective, but that shouldn't be the whole reason. If that were it, a couple of Google searches and a half-assed attempt at Duolingo would suffice.
Hey, that sounds personal.
Methinks the
Say
snake...
that to my face in Espanol.
Methinks the snake doth protest too much. As they say in Shakespeare, shut up, Craig. Now, the real benefit of a functional education system should be to cultivate critical thinking skills in addition to the information you receive. It's not just about the history lessons, but the way you can apply that knowledge to current events. History repeats itself, and those who do not learn from history are likely to repeat it in summer school.
Yeah.
Complex algebra is good and all, but a flexible understanding of fractions, percentages, and statistics is critical when you're paying taxes, footing the bill at a restaurant, or looking at polling data. Being able to gloat about reading 1984 is good, but being able to call someone out for fascistic behavior will land you a position like this.
Yeah, that's you living the dream right there, buddy.
The glamorous life right here.
Word.
La vie en rose. The problem...
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Shut up, Craig. The problem is that the US education system has been steadily phasing out this mindset over time, focusing more on shoving the information into your skull while neglecting to show students how to apply it in daily life. Much of this rapid downward spiral began with the introduction of standardized testing, which shifted the priorities of most schools from critical thinking to memorization. The goal was to jot down the answers, drill them as much as possible up to the test day, and then regurgitate them back onto the page. Unfortunately, if you've been through this process, you'll know that you'll likely have to phase out that information after the test in order to make room for whatever new crap is coming up next semester.
Mm-hmm.
It's less like building a knowledge base and more like restocking a shelf at the store. Unfortunately, this problem isn't getting any better, and it's certainly not by accident. The U.S. education system has been steadily dismantled, disenfranchised, and derailed under the watch and funding of conservative movements. This has gone on through basic defunding at national and state levels, introducing extraneous crap in the classroom like the Ten Commandments or Bible verses, or the removal of topics and materials that would foster a more complex understanding of the world, namely issues of race, gender, sexuality, or anything that doesn't fit La Vie en Rose cishet white Christian male hegemony. It makes you nauseous even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's it.
Conservatives have been on this train for a while now, whether it's making basic education and needs more cost prohibitive, or threatening future prospects through short-term solutions with long-term harms. Student loan debt is a bitch, and it will be for the rest of your lives. The primary benefit of this disenfranchisement is creating a socio-political underclass that is easy to control, indenture, and trick into whatever they want. As higher, public, or even basic education becomes more expensive or too much hassle to maintain, the poorer segments of the population aren't given the tools they need to recognize injustice or build a life for themselves. Thus, they're stuck in low-end employment, easily exploited by those in power, and are unaware of the social or legal protections that may afford them some breathing room. In doing so, people aren't given a consistent narrative and timeline for the country's history or laws, making them more likely to be tricked when conservative politicians want to start removing the nasty parts of history or anything close to DEI. Unfortunately, this issue is not improving. Actually, it's about to get a whole lot worse. The Supreme Court recently passed a ruling to allow the toddler-in-chief to continue defunding and gutting the education department. A federal judge in Massachusetts issued a preliminary injunction in May, ordering the administration to cease the cuts and reinstate over 1,400 workers who had been laid off. It worked its way up through the courts, and with the conservative stacked and Cheeto-stained lineup of justices, was thrown out. Justice Sonia Sotomayor referred to the action as indefensible, saying, quote, "The majority is either willfully blind to the implications of its ruling or naive, but either way, the threat to our Constitution's separation of powers is grave." I'd bet more on the former option, given that the ruling was unsigned and the conservative majority refused to explain their decision. But it could just be that they couldn't write their decision because Brett Kavanaugh ate all their crayons.
Did they taste like booze?
So, what's the best course of action?
No, they don't.
This fucking snake. We gotta call it Exterminator one of these days.
Exterminate your faith.
Fuck off. Anyway, back on track. So what's the best course of action? Well, if the federal and state governments refuse to provide a functional education system, it falls to the people to make it happen instead. To quote Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, teach your children well. Encourage them to sign up for summer reading programs at their local library, roll through some documentaries or crash course history videos. Get them excited about the learning process and, well, learning in general. Critical thinking skills are the first step towards opposing an authoritarian regime, particularly one as dim as this. I believe Robert Reich, former United States Secretary of Labor and since January of 2006, professor of public policy at the Goldman School of Public Policy at UC Berkeley, put it best in one of his recent Substack articles. The greatest obstacle to dictatorship is an educated populace. Ignorance is the handmaiden of tyranny. That's why fascists burn books, tyrants close universities, and slave owners prohibited their property from learning to read. In their quest to destroy democracy, Trump, Vance, and their cronies are intent on shutting the American mind. So stick around, we'll be right back with legendary voice actor Rob Paulsen.
Yeah!
Hey y'all, just popping in to let y'all know that this interview is going to be pretty heavily edited down because the whole thing was like an hour, but the full interview will be up in a couple days or so, and we'll have some individual stories and clips over on the short section once we figure that system out. So, enjoy the show.
Hi, Rob Paulsen here, better known to you as Yakko Warner from the Animaniacs. Hello, Vanity Fair. Other characters from Animaniacs include Dr. Otto von Scratch and Sniff. Yeah, that is me too. Pinky from Pinky and the Bride. Narf from Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius, Carl Weezer. Are you gonna finish that croissant? I was also the box ghost. Beware! A couple of Ninja Turtles, Raphael from the original show, and then Donatello from a later iteration. 50% of the Ninja Turtles in one old guy from Michigan.
Welcome back. Let's hop right in with our 3 standard questions. Who you, what's due, and why?
Who am I? My name is Rob Paulsen, and I've decided to become an alcoholic. No, my name is Rob Paulsen. I make my living doing essentially what got me in a little bit of, as they say, good trouble in 7th grade. I make my living doing animated voices. I'm an actor and a singer. And although I've been in Hollywood forever and have done a lot of on-camera stuff, most of the lion's share of my work is animation, character voices. And why do I do it? Because I can't do nothing else, man. I mean, the only other thing I wanted to be in my lifetime was a hockey player for the Detroit Red Wings. And by the time I got to college, I realized I had neither the talent nor temperament nor dental insurance to make a nickel. So now I do this and don't tell anybody, but after over 50 years earning a living, but 47 in Hollywood, don't tell them, but I would have done this all for free. So,
You'd be surprised how many people I talk to where it's like, hey, why do you do this? Because I can't do anything else.
Well, that's true. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm a fairly bright guy. And certainly, I got accepted to the University of Michigan, so I couldn't have been stupid. But I went there and I loved it. Ann Arbor is like Austin. It's just beautiful. Great place to go to see football games. Your team has played my team on more than one occasion. I love that whole experience, but I was bitten by the showbiz bug quite early. And my parents, both to their credit and probably to their detriment, encouraged me and my siblings to perform in high school and all that stuff, because they did. My parents did when they were younger. But I was the only one who took the bait and ran with it. My siblings have all graduated from college and are doing fine. I would argue that I'm probably one who has the most fun at work. And as I've mentioned before, I'm in the happy business. And to be in this privileged position at 9 months short of 70 is something which I never, ever in a million years could have expected. I including wonderful privileges like this. And make no mistake, folks, listening to Xander, this is a privilege. When people take their time to ask people like me, who are not movie stars. I don't draw them. I don't write them. The characters are the famous ones. When you take the time to ask me, especially in the context of what this means for you and how important this is in your young life, it is an absolute privilege for which I've worked very hard. So thank you so much for lowering your standards for me. It's very
Thanks is all mine. Is there anything that you're working on right now or have coming out soon that you'd like to tell our audience about?
Yeah, in fact, I'm pitching my own show, which is kind of cool. I've always been a hired gun. I did a podcast for years called Talkin Toons, TALKIN''TOONS. First, I did it with my computer walking around like 2011. I'd been guests on podcasts when they were sort of new. And I thought, man, this is a blast. And I don't think you have to be an MIT grad to do this. So I had a ball and I picked up my cell phone and go, wait a minute. I could call the Joker. I could call Batman. I can call Bart. I can call all the Ninja Turtles, Master Splinter. I can call Bugs. Come on. So I just started doing it. And it turns out that people liked it because these actors, you mentioned John DiMaggio. My God. I don't know if you ever met John, but he's like everybody else. Virtually all of us, by the way, with very few exceptions, have live performance backgrounds for obvious reasons. We're, especially at this age, 50 to 70, 80, Frank Welker is 79, Megatron, Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime is 85.
Wow, damn.
Doesn't matter. As soon as he says Autobots roll out, people lose their minds. And he is another guy I've known forever, the kindest, sweetest guy. If I'm with him at some event and somebody who's talking to me doesn't know who Peter is, one thing leads to another, and I'm able to work the conversation around where, oh, wait a minute, do you happen to like Transform? Oh my God, let me tell you, I collect them all. Peter, Autobots. Oh my God, it's the most wonderful thing to see. It's just precious. But we all have live performance backgrounds. Maurice LaMarche, the Brain, was a stand-up who opened for Rodney Dangerfield for 2 or 3 years on the road. Great impressionist. Billy West did music. I did music and improv. So yeah, it's we really don't know anything else because we've been doing this since we're in our 20s. So at this point, it's not just being silly. I truly don't know anything else to do. I could probably learn how to make a Frappuccino.
So the show that you're working on.
Yeah. So can we get back to the show?
Okay. So I'm pitching a more upscale, complete, more complete, involved version of my podcast. It went from me going around with my tape recorder, computer, to various iterations in which we do it live. We did it live at Universal City Walk at a comedy club. Then we moved up to the Improv, which is one of the more well-known historical comedy clubs. We did it there for 2 years. And then my friend Chris Hardwick created a company called Nerdist. And Nerdist is its own entity. It was ultimately sold. Chris sold it to Legendary Films. And they called in 2017 and said, have you ever thought about doing your podcast as a live action offering like a chat show? I said, sure. Well, we'll build you a set. We'll shoot it with 4 cameras. We'll edit it. And you can just have the same people you've already had on and new people. So I did 89 episodes of it there. And that ended in 2019. And many of those are available on YouTube. You should go check out Talkin Toons with Rob Paulsen. And some of those clips in which I and Seth Green, or who's Chris on Family Guy, or Sean Astin, who was Raphael in the iteration of Turtles in which I was Donatello, 2012 Nickelodeon, Kevin Conroy, who's since passed away, but was, for many people, the Batman. Thank you very much.
It's correct. He's the best. I mean, the fact Mark Hamill was like, I can't do Joker anymore because Batman's dead.
That's right.
He literally did the line of like, without Batman, crime has no punchline.
It is really not only fun, but also a privilege. We all love the fact that we all know one another. Now, Mark is in a different league. Mark's a, intergalactic movie star because it just makes everybody happy. And we don't care that it's not about money at that level, Mark's got all the money he'll need. I don't. We do stuff all the time for one another. I just as soon do it. Like, I got 2 new friends at UT, but in my case, I'm trying to I just was at a pitch Monday at Hulu. It's kind of cool now to get pitches at Warner Brothers and Hulu and Netflix because I've been working for so long that when I go to meet folks who will take a meeting with me, they are in my, niche, and they all know what I've done. So what happens, it's just wonderful. If I go to, back to a month ago, I was at Warner Brothers, which is kind of like being at home.
You ever like look up at the water tower and just like, home sweet home?
Hey man, I got you one better. I was going to work at the Clint Eastwood scoring stage, which is where they do all the music for movies, but also you have Steven Spielberg producing Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. We had a full orchestra for every half hour, just like Looney Tunes. I mean, you don't get that unless you have the King of Hollywood. It's very expensive, but it really works. And I remember I was going to do some post-production work at the scoring stage. And, one of the trams rode by with a bunch of folks doing the studio tour. And he stopped at the water tower, which I don't know if you've ever been to Hollywood, but if you drive down Olive Avenue and you get to the corner of Olive and Hollywood Way, you look to your right, and there's the main gate to Warner Brothers, and the water tower is right there. You can't miss it. So I happened to be in front of the water tower on my way to the studio, and a little tram drove by. And they stop, and the guy, does anybody know who lives on the water tower? The Animaniacs. And I said, boy, that's the truth. In fact, I'd be up there right now if your stupid tram wasn't in the way. And the guy, usually it's an actor who, do these tours. It's really fun, and they can improvise and have a blast, and they're sharp little kids. And wow, that's really good, sir. I said, well, yeah, I've been doing it for money forever. And he said, are you Rob Paulsen? I am. Are you the IRS? And the audience loved it. I loved it. So that stuff, my point about meeting with Warner Brothers about my show is we go into the meeting. I'm there with my management team, and we walk into the meeting, and there are 3 young gentlemen, all of whom knew who I was, and that's why we got the meeting. The meeting was supposed to be a half an hour. We were there for an hour and a half. And before we started, one of the young gentlemen, again, young for me, 43, 44. Can you hang on just a second, Rob? Sure. Runs to his office, comes back with a lunchbox from Goofy Movie, in which I play PJ, who is Max Goof's buddy. And I had no idea that Goofy Movie is enjoying this incredible renaissance. The movie is 30 years old, and people love Goofy Movie. So he said, could you sign this? I said, well, if you give me a deal, I'll sign it right now. So again, this wonderful calling card, unbeknownst to me, that has happened. So I get to have meetings with people because they want to hear what I have to say because they love what I do. So even if they don't buy it, I leave them with a good taste in their mouth because they had a blast. And I signed their Ninja Turtle action figure, or their Pinky and the Brain pajamas, or their Goofy Movie lunchbox. And then they say, oh my God, thank you so much. We'll let you know. But please, 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 if you have any other idea, give us right of first refusal. That in itself is great because they're serious. They want to hear what I've got. And it's just like when you learn very quickly as an actor, when you audition, you understand pretty quickly that you're not just auditioning for, gummy bears. You're auditioning for everything that casting director and those producers might want to hire you for. And the number of times now, having been here forever, that I've gotten a job a year, 2 years later, where my agent will call and said, Xander is now casting at Amblin, and you did an audition for him 2 years ago when it didn't work for what they ultimately went for that project, but he's got something now. And I'll walk in, Rob, nice to see you again. Listen, I've got this recording. I saved this take. because as you know, we went with a different direction, but I think it's perfect. And I want to ask you to do this for the producers. Are you sure? A new job. So that's what's happening.
Stuff the God's ears. Hey, that's God's ears on that sort of.
That's exactly right. From your mouth to God's checkbook. And you learn. And so now, if I leave Hulu or Netflix or Warner Brothers or Disney, having had a meeting where they say, "Oh man, we're going to talk to our higher ups and show your pitch, but please call us with whatever you have. Even if we buy this, we want to be in business with you." They're serious, because they don't say that. They have no reason to lead anybody on whom they hear pitches every day, most of which don't get bought. Same thing with auditions. I've done over 2,500 half hours of animation and video games and movies and commercials, which means I've auditioned for 4,000 that I didn't get. So if somebody in mid-level management who hears pitches says, please call us with whatever, they're serious. And I can't ask for more than that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. That's what I'm doing.
It's a hell of a life.
Yeah, it is. And I'm grateful. By the time Animaniacs rolled around, I had already been on Tiny Toon Adventures, which is also Steven Spielberg and Tom Ruegger, the show creator. And I'd started doing stuff for Disney, music-wise. So if I had been asked to audition for Animaniacs when I am even 7 years earlier, I wouldn't have been ready. Now I was, 35, and I knew the producers because of Warner Brothers, Kids WB, all that stuff. And so here's a brand new show. Steven Spielberg, clean sheet of paper, all new proprietary characters, and a very music heavy. Every half hour would have at least one song. And Yakko, the lead character, sings most of them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the only time before or since you guys where I went to the producer, Tom Ruegger, and whom I knew from Tiny Toons.
Yeah.
Said, Tom, I know that I'm going to audition, and I'm grateful that I've got an inside track along with a lot of other people whom you've worked with, and I'm grateful you're going to give me the shot. But if you don't hire me for this, you're making a mistake. And he didn't laugh. He said, well, that's why we're bringing you in, man, because we know you can do this, but we also have to audition because it's Steven. No problem. Because I thought, even if I don't get Yakko, they'll probably bring me in for other characters. And as you know, having watched it, it was like a magazine show. There are all sorts of different sub-characters. In Pinky and the Brain got their own spin-off. But I was dead serious. And it was a 6-week audition. I had 6 callbacks. And Tress McNeil, who was we'd call each other after every one. I'm going, how'd it go? Oh, God, I want this so bad. Because we knew it was going to be a big deal. And I got the gig.
All right, so since we're kind of running short on time, we'll go through the next part. I was like, so I can honestly say, or I believe I can say that I've heard your voice more often in my life than just about any other person besides my parents, with all the freaking roles you play throughout all the cartoons. You've been a part of at least 3 generations of people's lives. So does that ever freak you out any?
Yeah, in the most impossibly wonderful way. This is the only place, you guys, where I get tongue-tied. Because as I kind of mentioned or alluded to when I first started this lovely chat, and by the way, thanks again. I live for us. It's really difficult to quantify what it means to me that you were kind enough to say that. And I believe you. And that's where I kind of wish that my mom and dad were still around. I could say, oh my God, Mom, Dad, thank you for whatever it was that you instilled in me. to say, I'm going to give this a shot at 22 years old, whether it was, like I said, the ignorance of bliss or cockeyed optimism, like I didn't know any better. Was it difficult? Well, yeah, but I chose this. Nobody shoved a gun in my mouth to be an actor, so difficult is a relative term. Difficult is getting your master's or your PhD. That's difficult. Being a farmer in this day and age is difficult. Being a cop, pouring hot tar in August in Dallas is a tough job, okay? This is a choice. But to be in a position now where I am associated in your life with laughter and joy and nostalgia, I could not ask for a more profound acknowledgement that my work meant something to you, to the extent that you will probably want to share this stuff with your own kids or your own people who are important to you. There is nothing that is more gratifying to someone who chose to do this than to find out that acknowledgement. It's amazing. And what I really, what really lights me up is when I go to these events. I don't know if you've been to any Comic-Cons, but when you do, you often see marginalized folks, people who have very difficult times functioning in society. You know, they're very shy or very reticent to, or often on the autism spectrum. And some of their adult children who have trouble buying a Slurpee on their own. But then mom and dad, who might be 55 and they have a 30-year-old son who will always need help. And then for whatever reason, this young man has fallen in love with the music of Animaniacs, more specifically, Yakko. Doesn't know who I am, doesn't matter. Mom and dad will say, hey, Yakko is going to be at Fan Fest in Austin. You want to meet him? Yakko. Yeah. So, but you're going to have to stand in line. And often you'll see these children with a headset on because the cacophonous nature of being at a con, it's too much.
Overstimulating.
Yes. And so they'll even be standing there, you know, wringing their hands or rocking back and forth. And their parents will say, now, Anthony, you have to stand in line to meet Yakko like everybody else. And I'll say, you know, the parents will introduce themselves and I say, oh my God, bring your boy up here. No. We told them everybody else has to wait. Okay. So the gentleman, the young man will finally come up to me and he'll be, and I'm trying to find this picture because it illustrates it beautifully, series of photos. And if I don't find him, it doesn't really matter because you'll get it. But the young man will have been standing in line for, you know, half an hour because I like to talk to everybody whether they don't have to buy a goddamn thing. I just want to hear about what it is that makes them laugh. Okay. And so the young man will finally make it up to me and be in a state in which he looks absolutely just overwhelmed. Yeah. And you just want to say, oh my God, this poor young man, just somebody please take him outside and, you know, help him relax. And then, you know, he'll come up to me and he'll be a mess and we'll start chatting and one thing leads to another and it might take, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds and for him to get his stuff together. And then Yakko will start chatting. And I'm trying to find this series of photos because it will just blow your mind to see. This is a perfect example. It happens all the time. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay. So anyway, I'll start talking as Yakko. And all of a sudden, all that pain, all that anguish, all of it, absolutely 100% goes away. And then I look at the parents because their little boy has stopped being tearful through all this madness, but mom and dad are now tearful. because they know, okay, here it is. So here's exactly what I'm talking about. And this happens all the time. This is how the young gentleman looks when he got to me. Can you see his face?
Oh, poor thing.
Okay.
That's right.
He was like that. And his mom would go over and pat him on the back. Almost there, Anthony. You're almost there. And they insisted that he wait in line. Okay. So then he starts to get him. We start chatting. This all happened in about 45 seconds. And mom and dad took the photos. Okay. So he's starting it. I'm speaking to him like I'm speaking to you now. Then Yakko shows up. Okay. Look at that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that astonishing? And you guys, it was like that. So it turns out that this young man was nonverbal till he was 7. Somehow, mom and dad or family were watching Animaniacs, and he hears United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama. So he just went phew, and learned the song, which made him verbal.
Oh my God.
Not able to contextualize words. The words he learned were countries, but he was learning to speak. Anthony, do you know Italy? Italy, Jamaica, okay, Italy. And it helped him to become verbal. So we got to chat, and he answered my questions and I answered his questions. And I'm telling you, you guys, when you see that, you tell those parents, it's just a cartoon. It's not. For them, it gave them a measure of comfort because for however long they spend with their precious child in an atmosphere in which everyone is welcome, no one's looked at sideways. I will go to my grave believing that spandex should be a privilege and not a right. However, if you weigh 378 pounds and you want to be Batman, go ahead.
Hell yeah.
Ain't nobody going to give you shit. Nobody. And I love the ethos of the inclusivity of what that means, because those parents have to go to bed at night. I'm a parent, and they got to think, Jesus, now Anthony is 37 and he'll always need help. We don't have a trust fund. What's going to happen? We have 3 other kids. Are they going to stop their lives? And what's going to happen to that boy? They'll figure it out. But you see my point. Yeah. To be part of anything that gives those parents and that sweet kid or that sweet girl or whatever, it gives them a measure of comfort and joy. I don't even know. Thank you is woefully, comes up woefully short. I don't even, and those parents will say, thank you.
Like, I think it's a good time to wrap this up with like one last question, and it's like fitting the tone. We usually try to end with something silly and fun. So the big question that we're asking all of our guests this season, and you can either think about this, like take your time, but if you could be any kitchen appliance, gadget, or implement, which one would you want to be and why?
Oh my goodness, my naughty brain is going to like meat thermometer, but I'm not going to. I think if I had to, I think probably a blender, because I have been able to come up with good characters because I've learned that if I make this placement in the back of my throat, kind of almost Kermit-like, but I did a character on Animaniacs called Dr. Scratch and Snip, your psychiatrist back here, but I can also do this. I can throw all sorts of things down the back of my throat and come up with a new one, and I can also do the dialects or speech impediments or anything. It's just the placement in my voice. So Yeah, I blend that stuff together all the time and boom, I can come up with a new one. And it turns out it's just a fancy parlor trick. It's not that hard. Don't tell anybody. So, yeah, I'll be a blender. Meat thermometers a close second. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, hey. First, I want to thank our amazing guest, Rob Paulsen. He was so fun and easy to chat with, and he also lent his wisdom and voice to my master's project, so I extend my double thanks for that. As always, we want to thank the half dozen or so of you who watch this snake farm and mystery shack tourist trap of a roadside attraction regularly. We do this for your entertainment as well as our own, so if our snake oil and hair tonic sales pitch of the news takes your mind off of the horrors of the world, even for a few minutes, then we feel like we've done our job. This is our season 6 finale, so we're going to take a few months off. Now, how's that different from any of your normal production schedules, you ask? To which I say, we know, but hey. We'll be back in October just in time for Halloween. So in the meantime, you can catch up on some of our great interviews and explore our new clips section. If you can think of anything we missed or think there's a story we should cover in our own delightfully vulgar way, please leave a comment to let us know. Either way, try to stay sane, tell the people you care about that you love them, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and as always, it is what it is.